I'm Andrew.
I'm Jimmy.
All right. And for today's show, we are going to talk about the MLB first, and then we'll hit some other topics. For the MLB news, there's been some teams struggling. Like the Giants are really struggling. They got off to, I think, almost the worst record in the MLB. And they're flirting with rock bottom. They're really struggling to hit the ball. They're the worst, and their pitchers are worse in earned run average. In other news, an ace for the Cubs that helped the Cubs win the World Series, Jake Arrieta, is also struggling, and they're playing 500 ball when he starts. Is this something to worry about the Cubs?
I don't think so. I think they can rally and win.
And they're still at the top of their division. If you look in the standings, they're still at the top. And the Royals are starting to make a comeback. They've won 4 in a row, I think. And they're starting to play a lot better baseball. Their pitching still isn't doing the best, but they are starting to play better baseball.
They're getting hot, which is what they need to happen, because for the longest time they didn't have anybody hitting over 200, which can't happen.
Yeah. They say that for a player to kind of watch what they're doing, you want them to hit like 250 or above, and they weren't having anybody hit over 200. And now their pitching is still struggling, but their hitting is making up for the struggling pitching. They're getting 11 runs one game and 8 runs another game, so they can kind of make up for their pitching. And we're still early in the MLB season, so this could all change next week. So that's kind of your MLB news.
Not much to talk about.
Yeah, really not much to talk about.
It'll get more interesting once the All-Star break and then start seeing how the playoffs are going to shape.
Yeah, that's definitely true. As for some NCAA news, what we got, Jimmy?
Lane Kiffin, the coach for, I think it's...
Tennessee, I think that's who he coaches for.
I think it's... He was the offensive coordinator for Alabama. I think he got fired. I think he's on, like, some nobody college right now.
Yeah.
And he offered a scholarship to a 7th grader.
It's a lot of motivation.
I think that's way too early. Because he's got 5 years of school left.
Yeah, he could get hurt.
He could get hurt.
He could quit football and say it's not what he wants
could
to
not
do anymore.
He could not be good in high school.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That blew my mind. I just wanted to bring that up. That's pretty much all that's going on right now.
Okay. So that's pretty much all that's going on for the NCAA and MLB. I guess we'll move straight to basketball because it's the biggest thing on right now. The Rockets had a terrible Game 6, and something I did not expect. I thought they were going to move on past the Spurs and face the Warriors.
As did I.
And James Harden had only 10 points and 6 turnovers.
He did not play good.
Some people said he gave up on the game.
At the same time, their coach is not good at game planning. Because in Game 5, they should have won that game. He should not have been playing 36 minutes in the regular duration of the game.
Mm-hmm.
By the time overtime and then the fourth quarter came around, he was exhausted.
Okay.
He's got to do a better job of pacing
James Harden.
all of his players.
Well, James Harden had some really bad games in the playoffs. Like, there was games where he got, like, 14 points, and he just really didn't help his team. I think
but you can't only look at points because there's other ways to
he had very low assist numbers. He had turnovers. Like, he had 7 turnovers in Game 6. And then...
Yeah. But you got to look. Like Rajon Rondo, he's not a very high assist or points guy for the Bulls, but in his plus or minus was incredible.
Yeah.
And they would have swept the Celtics had he not gotten hurt.
Yeah, that is true. It just amazed me how many bad games James Harden had. He had some good games in there, but Game 6 was just not a good game. And it made me think of, like, Lil B, there's a rapper who said he put a curse on James Harden to never win a ring. And every time when James Harden does bad, it makes me question whether the curse is real. I mean, I'm not a big superstitious person, but every time he does bad, it's
That makes sense. And, like, another thing, I was so vocal about him deserving the MVP this year that...
Do you think his playoff
I think...
hurts his chances?
I hate LeBron, but these playoffs, they've only proven that he deserved the MVP more than anybody.
Yeah.
Because you could put him on literally any team. Any team. He could go to the Nets, the 76ers, or anybody, and they'd be a playoff team the next year.
They would. They definitely would.
So, as much as I hate LeBron, you have to... He needs the MVP every year. Steph Curry deserved it a couple years ago, but he needs the MVP.
And that's something I kind of agree with you. I'm not a big LeBron fan. I've always just thought he was overrated.
I don't think he's overrated. I do think he's the second best player of all time.
Next to Michael Jordan?
Behind Michael Jordan.
I think Kobe's up there.
I think Kobe's up there.
I don't know these better than LeBron. But
I think LeBron is an easy number 2, just for the fact that if you would have taken Kobe and put him on any team, I don't think they'd be a playoff team.
Okay.
Because Kobe was a one-dimensional player. He's like, I'm playing offense, I'm scoring points, I don't care about my teammates. LeBron makes everybody better, like Michael Jordan did. And you got to cover everyone everywhere on the court because he can shoot threes. He can go inside. He can shoot a jumper, make free throws. He's good at defense. He's better at the threes than Michael Jordan was, but he's not as good as defense. And in the game times, in the game-ending situation where you need a buzzer beater, he's not quite where Michael Jordan is. But, I mean, it's hard to think of anybody who's better besides Michael Jordan.
Yeah, that is true. It is really hard to think anybody who's better than LeBron. And you could go with the fact that LeBron had better players than Michael Jordan in his finals. That kind of helps.
Yeah.
And
Michael Jordan never lost the finals.
Yeah, and you could also say that Michael Jordan played when he had the flu.
But I think LeBron's beaten better teams in the finals.
That is true.
Because Michael Jordan played some good players. He's never played anybody like the Golden State Warriors where they've got 4 All-Stars.
Yeah, that is true.
But these playoff games recently have just been bad.
Yeah. Well, they've been interesting to watch. I mean, the Warriors won by a buzzer beater, and
some of them have been okay, but for the most part, they're just bad games.
Yeah.
They're blowouts one way or the other. Like the Washington-Boston series, they're not close.
This last game was close.
The last game was close.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's way too far on Boston's favor or way too far on Washington's favor. It's not good for the NBA.
I just think this is the way it's going to kind of happen until these teams get better, until they get someone that can compete with the stars that they have now. And maybe this draft class will have something to say about it. And the free agencies, there's a lot of notable free agencies that can help with other teams to get better. Like, for instance, Gordon Hayward's going to be a free agent. That's a big thing. And Blake Griffin. And there's other ones that Kyle Lowry. And
are we talking about the free agents?
Yeah. So
I mean, I'm going to list off a couple of them right now. We got the 2 best free agents this year are both Golden State players. We got Kevin Durant, Steph Curry.
But those are options. They're free agents. They don't take their option.
That's true.
So
Steph Curry is not an option.
Okay.
But I don't see him going anywhere.
Yeah, and that's something I don't see either. I see him staying with the Warriors.
Gordon Hayward, we'll talk more about what these guys are going to stay or go in a minute. Blake Griffin, Chris Paul, both of those two have options. Kyle Lowry, Paul Millsap, Drew Holiday, Serge Ibaka.
Serge Ibaka,
yeah. Pau Gasol, your boy Dwayne Wade, George Hill, just to name a few.
Yeah.
You know. Let's start off the top. Do you think Kevin Durant is going to leave the Warriors?
Not if he wins a ring. And I think even if he goes to the finals, I don't think he's going to leave them. I mean, that'd be just kind of a thing I don't see him doing.
I'm not so sure. Now, when he went out and they won 14 in a row, they proved that they'd win this without him.
Yeah, that is true.
And I think he's got a little bit of an ego. Like, he can put his ego aside for the team. But I think at the end of the year, if Boston comes calling and they've proven they cannot win a championship with what they have now, and he can go be the guy in Boston and be the guy that dethroned LeBron James, I don't know why he wouldn't take it.
I think it would be better for him to go to an East team because I'm tired of LeBron winning the East every time.
Yeah, it would be better for all teams involved. Because Golden State, I mean, it wouldn't be better for Golden State, but they'd still be a dynamic team without him.
Yeah, they would.
And I think if you take Golden State without Kevin Durant, match them up with the Rockets, and maybe they sign a player, then you got the Spurs and all these teams that are good.
Yeah.
It'll just make it that much better. And then on the East, it won't just be the Cavaliers versus nobody.
Yeah, and it won't just be LeBron.
You will have Kevin Durant and Isaiah Thomas if he goes to Boston. Or if he goes to Washington, John Wall and Kevin Durant. That's a good combination.
Yeah.
See, I think it's just better for the NBA if he does go. That's my personal opinion. I don't know if he will or not. Neither of us do.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with you. It'd be better for the NBA because there's no one in the East that can challenge LeBron.
Now, let's move to Steph Curry. I do not see him going anywhere.
I don't either.
I think he's going to stay the Warrior for life.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. I don't think the Warriors have... If they let him go, they're going to let go a lot of their fan base. I think that's something that they can't do.
If him and Kevin Durant both go, those are my two favorite players in the NBA. I'm sorry. I've loved Kevin Durant since his college days. You know this.
Yeah.
I've fallen in love with Steph Curry at the same time, though.
Yeah.
I love what he did with
Davidson. That was where he went to college.
No, his shoe deal, Under Armour.
He did.
I love how he took less money to make his shoes because he wanted a Bible verse on it. That's just my opinion. Nike said they wouldn't do it, so he went somewhere else.
Yeah, I do like his college career too. He made March Madness amazing with Davidson, and it was fun to watch him in college. And now to see him thrive in the NBA is pretty good too, because not a lot of college players thrive in the NBA. So
he is the best 3-point shooter of all time.
Yeah, I mean, he beat his own dad's records. So
let's move on to Gordon Hayward. Do you see him opting out of his contract with Utah?
I want to say no because he's been with Utah since his rookie year, and it's just somewhere he can stay, and he finally probably believes that they have a chance that they sign a couple players. But if a team like Boston and like a team that makes a playoff run gives an offer to him, I could see him leaving. But I don't see him really leaving for someone that's not a playoff team.
Utah's only one or two pieces away from being a huge contender. I don't see him leaving. I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if he did. I just don't see it happening. We'll move on to number 4. The player option with Blake Griffin. Do you think he's going to opt out of his contract, or is he going to stay?
I think the Clippers need to get rid of Blake Griffin. I just think that he's...
That's not up to them right now.
Yeah.
Is he going to opt out of his contract, or is he going to stay?
I think he's going to opt out to try to get more money. And I think that the Clippers just need to let him go when he
I think my personal opinion is they need to keep him sign him and trade him for somebody. Don't just let him go, because there are teams that would want Blake Griffin. I could see Utah trying to trade for Blake Griffin.
Mm-hmm. I think the Clippers need to get rid of him, and I could agree with trading him and getting something for him that's better than just letting him sign with another team.
I do not think he's the Clipper next year. I don't think it's going to happen one way or the other.
Yeah, and I think that he's the piece that's holding the Clippers back. I don't think that it's DeAndre Jordan. I don't think that it's Chris Paul. I think it's Blake Griffin because he can't stay unhurt. He always is injured.
And he can't shoot past 7 feet.
So I think it's Blake Griffin holding them back.
Speaking of Chris Paul, do you think he's going to opt out of his player option? I hope he does not, because he is the best player in the Clippers ever. Yeah, and he is the best true point guard in the league.
And they've also talked about making him a statue because of what he's done for the franchise. So I really don't want to see him leave the Clippers.
I will not blame him if he does, because he's over 30 and he wants to win a championship, rightfully so. So I could see if San Antonio comes calling, match him up with Kawhi Leonard, and I could see that being an option. I don't see him leaving the Clippers, though. If they sign, they just need a small forward or a shooting guard.
Yeah.
Somebody to help him out.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to continue talking some NBA. This is Sports Your Shorts. I'm Andrew.
I'm Jimmy.
All right, and we're back to Sports Your Shorts. I'm Andrew.
I'm Jimmy.
All right, so other NBA free agents, Jimmy, what are they?
We got Kyle Lowry, the Toronto point guard. Mm-hmm. He's an unrestricted free agent. Do you see him staying?
He has already come out publicly stating that he does not want to stay with the Raptors because he doesn't think they can get him a ring, and he has spoken that he would like to go to the 76ers and some other teams. And
do the 76ers make sense to you?
It makes sense, but I don't think that they're closer to getting a ring than the Raptors, where I thought he'd have a better chance of getting a ring with the Raptors.
I mean, that makes sense to me.
I mean, the 76ers do need a point guard, and I think a point guard would help their offense tremendously, but I still think they have a lot of work, and there's less work with the Raptors. So I didn't think that was the smartest decision on his part.
All right, let's stick with Atlanta. Paul Millsap. Mm-hmm. He has an option for this year. Do you think he will opt out of his contract?
Well, I think if he does, I don't know who would sign him. I mean, he kind of struggled in Atlanta this year, and if they lose Dwight Howard, I could see it will help a lot because he's a power forward, and I think it will help a lot if they get rid of something that is kind of a toxic in their locker room, and I think it will help him get more points because they'll use him as a big man versus Dwight Howard, in my opinion.
That makes sense. Now, next on our list is Rajon Rondo has a team option. Should they cut ties with him, or did he prove in his 2 playoff games that they can't do it without him?
I always have mixed feelings about Rajon Rondo because he did this with
and everybody else.
Because he did this with the Kings. He showed that he could be a really good player and help an offense and be a great point guard, and then he also shows that he just has an attitude. He can't play. He's a terrible free throw shooter. Like, there's just so many down and so little up. It's just so hard.
Here's what I think. I think the Bulls aren't going to do anything anyway because I think Dwayne Wade needs to retire.
Yeah.
I think Jimmy Butler's they're going to trade him because he wants out and they want him out. So I think they're just done because what else can they do? They're not going to win without Jimmy Butler.
Mm-hmm. And I wasn't a big fan of how the coach did things, and I'm not a big fan of their coach right now. Them losing Tim Thibodeau was not a good decision for the Bulls organization, in my opinion. And Rajon Rondo is just up and down. You can't really trust him with anything. So if they do sign him, I don't know what players want to play with him. And it's all in left field, in my opinion.
All right, let's move on to the next one. We got Dirk Nowitzki. I can't ever picture him playing outside of Dallas. He didn't have that good of a season. Father Time's catching up to him.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't want to retire. Do you think Dallas would let him go, or do you think they'd keep him just because he's their guy?
I think they would keep him just because he's their guy, but...
I don't necessarily think he's going to be a starter.
Uh-huh.
I don't see him leaving Dallas or them letting him go.
I don't see that either. He's just been their guy for so long. It'd be shocking to see him go. But we've seen things happen.
Next on our list, let's go to Utah with George Hill.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Well,
he's an unrestricted free agent, so he can do whatever he wants.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, he could... I think he'll stay just because of where Utah's at. They do have a chance to make the playoffs again, and if they add some more pieces, they can really help their chances in getting a ring. So I think the players with Utah that are free agents will stay with Utah. I think Utah is just a good spot for them.
No, let's go back to the Bulls. I forgot to mention. What do you think Dwayne Wade's going to do? He has an option to stay or leave. What do you think is going to happen?
I think he's going to stay in Chicago. I really think it's back home for him, and he loves being back home. And I don't know if it's going to help or hurt his career, but I think he feels like he has more work to do in Chicago.
Even if they get rid of Jimmy Butler and Rajon Rondo, you think he's going to stick it out?
Yeah, I think that he feels like he has work that he wants to get done in Chicago. And I think he likes being back home, close to his parents and stuff like that.
I wouldn't be surprised if Cleveland gave him a call. Just because him and LeBron are such good friends. And LeBron runs the NBA. I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay.
Now, let's move on to San Antonio. Pau Gasol has a player option for this year. What do you think is going to happen?
I think Pau Gasol is going to retire. Or if he doesn't, I think he'll stay with the Spurs or just get like a one-year deal. Because he is old and he's a lot slower than what he was, and he's just not the player that he was. And he's won a couple rings with the Lakers when he's with the Lakers, so he's had a good career, and I just think that he's getting up there in age. I think that we're down to see Pau Gasol, like this is his last year, or next year's his last year, wherever he goes.
Okay, I could see that. Let's go to Toronto, where Serge Ibaka is an unrestricted free agent. Is he going to stay with Toronto, the team that's never going to be able to make it anywhere? Or is he going to leave and go somewhere who actually has a chance to win?
I've had some struggles with Serge Ibaka because he left the Thunder. He was traded to the Grizzlies. Then, the Grizzlies dropped him, and he went to Toronto, and he's just been all over the place. And I almost lost track of him because he's not that much of a factor. He really doesn't score that many points. He plays amazing defense.
And he's getting better at his 3 points.
Okay. I mean, if he stays with Toronto, I mean, they're not going to go anywhere. So it all kind of just depends on what he wants, and if he wants to be a star, he could potentially be a star in Toronto. If they get rid of Kyle Lowry, then who do they got? DeMar DeRozan and him. So
that's true. Drew Holiday, unrestricted free agent with New Orleans. What do you think is going to happen with him?
I honestly I don't think the Pelicans are going to do it, but I think they need to get rid of him. Because he's been so injury prone. He's a good point guard, but he can't stay healthy, and that offense struggles when he's not in. So I think they should get rid of him and find a point guard that can stay healthy and help that offense, especially now they got DeMarcus Cousins and Anthony Davis, both big point guards that run the pick. I mean, not point guards, both big power forwards and centers that run a pick and roll really well, get rebounds. I think they need a point guard to structure that offense, and Drew Holiday can't stay healthy.
Yeah, I could see that. I think DeMarcus Cousins is a joke, but, to each their own.
Mm-hmm.
We got a few more people I want to talk about.
Okay.
JaVale McGee, who before this year was a nobody, but towards the end of this year, he's been playing pretty great. I see him being a cheap option to keep for the Warriors this year.
Mm-hmm. I think he's really stepped up with the Warriors, and he's looked really well, and he's almost walked his way into the starting lineup in games, and he's done very well at rebounding, and he's really proven himself to be a decent player, a good guy off the bench, or can give you a good minutes starting. So it's changed my opinion on him, definitely.
He's really turned it around.
He has. He's not on Shaqtin' a Fool anymore.
Now on to the most athletic 40-year-old man I've ever seen play basketball, Vince Carter.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he's going to stay with Memphis, or do you think he's going to retire, or what's going to go on?
I don't know, because I thought Vince Carter was done, and then he did amazing this year. Like, he had some really good playoff highlights, and he really helped Memphis in a lot of things. So, I mean, if he thinks he has one more year in him, I wouldn't bet against him. So, as for staying with Memphis, I don't know what they're going to think about it, but if he thinks he has one more year with him, I wouldn't bet against it. I would go with it and say he does.
I'd love to see him go to a team where he can win a championship.
Yeah.
Even if he's just the backup.
Even if he only plays a couple minutes.
I want to see him get a championship. Has he won one yet?
No, he came close with the Nets. He did come close with the Nets, and they had Richard Jefferson and Jason Kidd.
Even if he sells his soul and goes to play with LeBron, I just want him to go to a championship team. On to player that you watched a lot in college because he went to your K-State.
Yeah.
Michael Beasley. What do you think? Is he going to stay with Milwaukee?
I honestly don't think he is. I think he's just going to bounce around. He's a player that just bounces around from team to team. I didn't think when he was drafted that he was all that good of a player because he couldn't play defense. The Kansas State was really good at hiding how terrible he was at defense. They would take him out. They would just kind of hide him there. They would run plays where he wouldn't have to do much on defense. So when he got to the NBA really realized that he cannot play defense. And he really struggles with, he thinks he's the star and he can't play with other players very well. So I just see him bouncing around.
Now, we talked about the Clippers earlier, but let's go to the other side of Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. Same building. You know what I mean.
Yeah, Staples Center.
Do you think that Nick Young will be a Laker next year with it, or will he opt out of his contract?
Well, Nick Young is one of the best players they have on that team. And with him staying as a Laker, it has a chance for him to show that he can be a star and that he can go to a team. But I just think he's a role player. So if he goes to another team, it's really going to show that he's just a role player. He's not really, in my opinion, a star. I don't know if the Lakers see that, and he's going to ask for a lot of money, and they're just not going to give it to him. So I just see him as a role player, and I see him as a player that can help a team win, but he has to kind of realize to himself that he's not a star, in my opinion.
Okay, that's fair. And our final guy for the day, Detroit Pistons, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Do you think he's going to stay with them? He's a restricted free agent, so...
I think he's going to stay with the Pistons. He really showed that he can play. The Pistons have given him a shot in the starting lineup. He had some real decent games, and I think he has room to improve, and I think the Pistons can give him that room.
I could see that. All right, on to our final topic of the NBA, and then we'll take our break. Do you think the Spurs actually have a chance to beat the Warriors? Personally, I think they're going to get swept.
I think that they have a chance to win a couple games, like 1 or 2, and push it to 6, maybe 5, but I think the Warriors are going to come out. With Kawhi Leonard hurt, though, it doesn't look good for the Spurs. I mean, he's going to be out for Game 2, and that gives the Warriors a big shot to get a 2-0 lead on them, and that just doesn't look good in my opinion. But I do think the Spurs and Greg Popovich can get 1 game, maybe 2.
Okay, that's fair. All right, let's hop into our break, and then we'll be back shortly.
All right, this is Sports Shorts.
And we are back to Sports Shorts. I'm Jimmy.
And I'm Andrew.
All right, let's jump right into the NFL. News broke earlier. Patrick Mahomes was robbed at gunpoint. He wasn't injured. What do you think of this?
What is there to think about it? The good thing is he wasn't injured because this did happen to Sean Taylor and he ended up losing his life. So the good news is he wasn't injured and those things that were stolen from him can be replaced.
Exactly. He's about to be a very rich man anyway.
Yeah. So the good news is he wasn't injured.
All right, let's move on. Mr. Big Man Eddie Lacy earned $500,000 by making his weight. He was supposed to weigh in at 255 pounds or less. He barely made it at 253. Is this a sign that he's actually going to keep getting healthy, or what do you think is going to happen?
I just think the money is an incentive to him.
He's got a couple more weigh-ins. Do you think he's going to make weight in time to play good this season?
I think he's going to make weight just to get the money. And I hope that he stays healthy and that he stays at that weight and actually does something for Seattle because they need they need a good running back and they need someone to help if Thomas Rawls gets hurt again. And I really like Seattle as a team, so I would like to see them do good.
I hate Seattle, mostly because they're fans.
Okay.
I like C.J. Prosise. I think C.J. Prosise is their best running back.
Mm-hmm. And
I don't think Thomas Rawls has what it takes to be the workhorse back in the NFL. And Eddie Lacy's gotten into shape a couple times, but he always gains the weight back. I don't think even if he does get all the weight incentives, I think he's going to gain it back, and I don't think he'll be productive this season.
Okay. I don't know about being productive, but I think that the money is helping him do something because earning $500,000 just for weighing a certain amount of weight is pretty nice.
I mean, you could pay me $500,000, I'll drop weight real quick.
Yeah. So I think that's just what he's thinking is there's not another team that signed me, and this team signed me, and they're giving me bonuses to make weight. I'm going to try my hardest to make weight.
All right. On to our next topic. Tom Brady will be on this year's cover of Madden. Do you think the Madden curse is real?
Yes.
I'm right there with you, man. I think so too.
And I mean, it has affected a lot of players. There's some players that have beaten it. OBJ beat it. Calvin Johnson.
But in their careers, those were low years.
No, Calvin Johnson broke a record the year after he won.
He started off real slow.
He started off slow, but he did break a record. And Larry Fitzgerald.
Larry Fitzgerald did not have that good of a year that year.
He got the most touchdowns for a wide receiver. He didn't have that good of a year for yards and all that stuff, but he did have the most touchdowns for a wide receiver that year.
But Larry Fitzgerald standards, he wasn't where he was the year before.
Yeah.
He took a significant step down. Well, recently Tom Brady put out a couple of videos about this. He doesn't believe in curses, and he posted a video of him breaking a mirror and walking under a ladder. So for those of us that are superstitious, Tom Brady is going to have the worst year ever as an NFL quarterback this year.
And the other video of him wearing a bubble was really funny too.
Yeah, that was a funny video. But on a serious note, do you think Tom Brady is going to play well this year?
I think he's going to play well. I don't see him winning another Super Bowl. I don't see him having as amazing numbers as he did this year, but I think he'll do well.
I think he'll be somewhere between the 6th and 10th best quarterback this year.
And that's where
which is a significant decrease to where he has been recently.
I could see that. I mean,
I honestly wouldn't even be surprised if he was around the 12 spot.
He's getting up there in age, and I don't think he's going to have as great as a year he had this year, and I really want to say that he'll be in the top 10, but I don't see him cracking the top 5.
All right. Now, let's move on to Marshawn Lynch, everybody's favorite topic. He threw a giant block party to celebrate his contract. What do you think?
It's just Marshawn Lynch being Marshawn Lynch, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And he does stuff like this all the time. And he's got a mouth, and he likes doing this. I really don't have much to say about it because we have totally different opinions about this.
I actually learned something interesting this week about Marshawn Lynch. So, you think he's going to have a tremendous year, right?
I don't think he's going to have...
You think he's going to have a good year?
Yes.
Did you know the games that he played in his last season were some of his worst games ever?
Did not know that.
That year was the start of his downfall.
Mm-hmm.
That was the worst year he's had, even when he played with the Bills.
Okay.
So why would you think that if he had a terrible year his last year, that's not going to matter, and then taking a year off won't matter, and then coming into a new offense, that'll just change everything and he'll be good again?
You're going to disagree with everything I say, but I'm going to say it anyways. I think I would trust a veteran running back over what they have already in their backfield. And I think that also them watching how Marshawn Lynch plays will help these running backs that aren't veterans. And I think that he's a better receiver than these running backs that they have now. And I just think that it's better for them. He might not have a great year, but I think it's better than what they have right now. I think Jalen Richard is not that good of a running back. And I think the Washington, I can't think of his first name, that they also have. Yeah, DeAndre Washington. He fumbled a lot. He went in and out. They put Jalen Richard because they couldn't trust him. So I just think Marshawn Lynch is more trustworthy than what they have now. And I don't know if he's going to have a great year, but I think he's more trustworthy. I think he's better than what they have now. And I think that he can help the Raiders. That's what I really think of Marshawn Lynch.
I never really thought he was going to be that great. And then come to find out that his last year playing, he played 7 games, started 6 of them.
Mm-hmm.
He was averaging only 3.8 yards a carry, only averaging 59 yards a game. He had his longest rush was a 24-yard touchdown and a 3-touchdown year for him. Why he only played 7 games? It just shows that he got benched in his last year playing for Thomas Rawls, who's proven that he's not the workhorse guy either.
Yeah.
And I just don't think going on a team like Oakland, where they have to play better defenses all the time, I don't think it's going to be good for him.
I just think it's better than what they had. You can agree with that or disagree with that.
I disagree with that tremendously.
I think the running backs they had were just subpar, and I think he's better than subpar.
I think he's subpar, actually. But we'll move on. The new Bills GM said that there is an open competition at quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Is Tyrod Taylor's career in trouble?
I don't think so. I think he's the best option that they have. I do think Tyrod Taylor does play a little bit on the edge at times and makes some decisions I wouldn't make as a quarterback. But I think he's the best option that they have, and I think that this is just to kind of show him that if he keeps playing the way he's playing, it's not going to be good, and they'll take him out. But I think this is just to kind of light a fire under his butt, for lack of a better term.
The Browns have made a point in the last couple of years to say they don't like Tyrod Taylor.
You mean the Bills?
That's what I meant. Browns are just bad anyway, whatever. The Bills have made a point in the last couple of years to say they don't think Tyrod Taylor is their quarterback for the future. So with this news, I don't think it's going to light a fire under Tyrod Taylor, but I think it's going to be like he's going to give up. He's like, I don't want the job anymore. Trade me.
Well, then that wouldn't look good for him either, in my opinion.
Why not?
Because you already have questions about him, and
what questions are there about him?
the fact that he's going to run first before he pass, that's a question that I have about him from watching him play. Is he a run first guy, or is he actually going to pass?
Now let me ask you this about
Can he throw the deep ball?
Let me ask you this. Name a receiver that he's consistently had that he could throw to.
Sammy Watkins?
Consistently had. How many games does Sammy Watkins play a year? 2 or 3?
Yeah. Okay, so you get that.
And the Bills have a terrible offensive line.
Okay, so you put those in a factor. What about, can he even throw the deep ball? Can he throw accurately? He's had trouble throwing accurately.
But we don't know because he's never had a good offensive line. And if they're not going to treat him right, you don't think that if he goes to a team like Minnesota or...
Minnesota doesn't have a good offensive line either.
But they got better receivers.
Okay.
Or go to a team like...
Washington.
They're not going to get rid of Kirk Cousins. Maybe next year, but... Go maybe the Jets, who they're not great, but they got Eric Decker.
And they've got some decent weapons on wide receiver and tight end.
Exactly. Or maybe even Jacksonville, if Blake Bortles decides he's not
they decide
going to play.
Yeah.
I could see all of these spots being a better fit for Tyrod Taylor, and he could show the Bills just what he can do.
Well, I think that he should show what he can do, and then if he doesn't want to stay with the Bills, he has a higher up on teams that want to offer him. Like, if he has a fantastic year, and he goes, I don't want to be with the Bills, and he shows every team, hey, I can do this, that makes him more appealing. If he just goes, okay, I don't want to do this, then teams just have the footage that they have, and they have to go on what they have. And when I look at Tyrod Taylor, I see a guy who's going to run first, and he isn't going to stay in the pocket. I see a guy that has trouble with accuracy, and I see a guy that also has trouble throwing the deep ball. He's a decent quarterback, but I see those 3 things that make me scared to sign him. And if he can show that he's improved those things, and he can have a decent year, then I change my entire mind. But if you just give up, I still have to look on the footage that I have of you.
Like I said, though, it's kind of hard to knock him for those things because he hasn't had a good team around him. Take away LaShawn McCoy, name another player on the Bills that's good.
Sammy Watkins.
And he plays like 3 games a year. So I get what you're saying, and I agree with some of your points, but it's just hard to knock him for those things because of the talent around him, and Rex Ryan was his coach.
Yeah.
How good can you do with Rex Ryan? Come on.
I always wanted to root for Rex Ryan because I thought he was a good defensive coach, but what he's shown with the teams that he's run, I've kind of lost a lot of respect for him as a coach. I still think he's got a good defensive mind, but I think being a head coach is too much work for him.
Okay. Now, LeGarrette Blount and the New England Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
Look, the New England Patriots are the place for running back free agents this year. They've signed so many.
Mm-hmm.
They put a restricted free agent tag on LeGarrette Blount, which means someone's going to have to give up a draft pick for him, and he won't be able to sign with anybody until week 10 if no one gives a pick for him.
Okay.
Do you think someone will give up the pick and get LeGarrette Blount, or do you think he's going to sign his contract with the Patriots, who already have a lot of running backs, and they aren't offering him what he wants?
I mean, I just kind of look at what choice he has, and LeGarrette Blount has had troubles. Now, he's really changed himself around with the Patriots, but the Patriots have a record in doing this. They've taken trouble players and really changed them. They did it with Randy Moss, and they've done it with LeGarrette Blount. They've talked about doing it with Richard Sherman, and they've done it with multiple players that have had trouble past and kind of steered them the right way. So it's about a team wanting to take a little bit of a risk because he has had a trouble past, and also that's a lot to give up for a running back that I think is just he's a decent running back, but I don't think he's worth giving up a pick for.
I think the system made him, and he didn't make the system. So I think the system is the reason he did so well. Mm-hmm. And given another system, I don't think he'd be that great.
He's always been a power running back and been really strong, and he succeeded in New England because they have a system for that. And I don't know another team that has really system that could have someone that big running their offense.
All right, let's move on to the Los Angeles Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they are going to be able to stay healthy this year with stars like Keenan Allen, who've been consistently hurt throughout his career?
I want to hope that they stay healthy because they have a decent team, but I do like that they signed a wide receiver in the draft to kind of prepare if Keenan Allen gets hurt again. I like what they did in the draft to kind of prepare if their players get hurt again. They signed some backups and they helped their secondary. So if players get hurt, I could see them not bouncing back, but getting close to bounce back because they did some good things in the draft.
Yeah, they did some good things. I don't think Keenan Allen's going to play more than half a season in any season through his career. He's just so injury prone. He's got the same thing that you think Jamal Charles had, even though Jamal Charles didn't have. And last year they sent 21 players to the IR. They can't keep their offensive line healthy, and they didn't really address a lot of those problems this year.
Okay.
So I'd love to see it happen because I love watching the AFC West be competitive. It's the best division of football. That's not just me saying that as a Chiefs fan.
Because you do have the Broncos and you have the Raiders. You've got 3 teams that challenge first place.
And if the Chargers can stay healthy, that's 4 of the best teams in the AFC West.
Yeah.
I won't be surprised if there's 3 teams in the West going this year.
I won't be either.
And I wouldn't be surprised if the 4th team had a 10-6 record. So I'd like to see them stay healthy. I hope they do. I don't see Keenan Allen staying healthy.
I don't either. And that's why I kind of like them when they signed a wide receiver. They kind of just said, if he gets hurt, we have this guy.
And the fact that he thinks he can talk trash to Marcus Peters when Marcus Peters doesn't get hurt.
Yeah.
That was funny to me.
Because that's all Keenan Allen does. I think this, like, he got hurt 3 years in a row, I think. I think it's been 3 years in a row that he's gotten hurt. And it's within, like, the first couple games.
Let's move on. This is a little bit of NFL and a little bit of NCAA.
Okay.
Charlie Weiss has what team is it? Someone paid out almost $19 million to Notre Dame for Charlie Weiss's contract.
Okay.
Do you know who Charlie Weiss is?
Yes.
Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think he's going to retire or is he going to go somewhere?
Well, he's done decent for Notre Dame. He's created a lot of...
35-27 record in 5 seasons.
Yeah, he's done decent. He's got a winning record.
But he finished his final season on a 4-game losing streak.
But here's my but. I just think that it's really hard to jump from college to the NFL. And he did not have a good season last year. And I think he could be a good coordinator in the NFL, but I don't think he could be a good coach.
Okay. A few more topics here. Tom Brady, I know we talked about him earlier, but I just read that he does not think that he is worthy of the greatest of all time over Joe Montana. Do you think he is?
I think that if his Super Bowl wins weren't tainted, and that he didn't win I think he's only won 1 Super Bowl where he's won by more than a possession. So I think if they weren't tainted by controversy, and if his Super Bowls weren't as close as they were, I think that you could put him up there with Joe Montana. But the way his Super Bowls are just tainted, and the fact that he won because he had a good kicker, it just kind of questions whether he can be up there, in my opinion.
That's fair. He says that, and I agree with this, he says, I'm really a product of what I've been around, which, in my opinion, I agree with. You got Bill Belichick, and they've proven that they can easily win without Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I think the best way to settle this, it's impossible to actually settle which one's better.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were to take Joe Montana, do you think he'd be that good with the Patriots?
Yeah.
I think he'd be better.
I think he would be too.
Now, if you take Tom Brady and put him where Joe Montana was, in a much harder NFL because the receivers and quarterbacks could fight while the ball's in the air, do you think Tom Brady would be able to succeed?
No. The
only thing I'll give Tom Brady is he's never played with a Jerry Rice type receiver.
Yeah, it's true.
But I don't think he's the GOAT. I think he's up there. I think he's easily top 5.
Mm-hmm. I think he's a fantastic quarterback. I feel like a lot of his records are tainted by what he's done.
If he wins a 6th Super Bowl without controversy, then we'll talk.
Yeah, that is true. And this Super Bowl that he won didn't have any controversy. So if he wins another one without controversy,
we'll talk.
Yeah, then we'll talk.
Now, Blaine Gabbert, all right, our final piece of business. Blaine Gabbert got a job as a Cardinals backup.
Okay.
But Kaepernick is still a free agent. Is he being blackballed by the NFL?
I didn't think he was that good of a quarterback. He was 1-10 starting with 49ers. When he went to the Super Bowl, he came close to the playoffs and just had a couple good games. And I also thought it was Harbaugh just kind of making the offense good around him.
Yeah.
So I didn't think he was that good of a quarterback to begin with. I thought Blaine Gabbert was a better quarterback. I think he had a couple bad games, and that's why they tried Kaepernick. But I thought Blaine Gabbert was a better quarterback, and I thought I thought the 49ers offense looked better with Gabbert than they did with Kaepernick, in my opinion.
That's fair. I think I heard Colin Cowherd talk about this on FS1.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be a third string.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to be much more than a third string.
Okay.
And what you want from your third string, or even backup, you want no drama, no off-the-field issues. Mm-hmm. You want him to sit there, and you want him to be able to walk through any building and no one know who he is.
Yeah.
So, you don't get that with Kaepernick. You kind of get that with Blaine Gabbert because he's never had any off-the-field issues.
Yeah.
You don't get that with Kaepernick. That's why Tim Tebow doesn't have a job, and I love Tim Tebow.
Mm-hmm.
But he's such a big media guy. And Kaepernick might be being blackballed, but here's what I say. A, he's not good enough. He's good enough to be a second-string quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
A good second-string quarterback. But there's too much controversy surrounding him. And you got a bunch of rich white guys running this league. This is the owner's league. This is not a players' league like the NBA. So if they don't want that kind of controversy, which there will be when he gets a job. Some people will love that team, and a lot of people will hate that team. Mm-hmm. So why would you want to bring that on yourself for a backup?
And I agree with that completely. This is a guy that's not going to start. He's going to be a backup. And I'd rather have someone who's going to keep their mouth shut. He's not going to have any controversy. He's just going to come, and when he gets his chance to play, if a starter gets injured, he's going to play. That's what he's going to be. He's not going to start. And that's what you want out of a backup. You want somebody who's going to be quiet, and Kaepernick's not quiet.
Exactly. And it's his own fault.
It is.
He lost his job last year, and instead of keeping his mouth shut and working hard to improve himself, he decided to sit down when the pledge is being sang and started this whole controversy. And all these people that are saying that it's just because he's black, it's not. It's not. Yeah, a lot of the owners probably didn't like what he did. I didn't like what he did, but it's his decision.
Yeah.
He has to live with the consequences.
He didn't play well. I mean,
he played terribly.
You can look at his footage. He's not that good of a quarterback.
And the people that talk about, oh, well, he led him to an NFL or an NFC championship and a Super Bowl appearance. Jim Harbaugh was their coach. Mm-hmm. Jim Harbaugh is a great coach.
Yeah, he knows how to run an offense.
And Alex Smith led them to through the first half of the season with a very good record.
Yeah, and Alex Smith won the first playoff game. Kaepernick came in like halfway through that game because I think Alex Smith got hurt. So, and they had a decent lead when he came in. So,
and the reason they won the NFC Championship is because of kick return.
Yeah.
He didn't win him the games, and he got embarrassed in the Super Bowl.
He did. I mean, he only had a couple good highlights in the Super Bowl, and he had this big run, and that was about it.
And the people that talk about his stats and his records, do me a favor and look at the last 2 years of his stats, because you get, this is a what have you done recently league. It isn't like, oh, what have you done before?
Yeah.
Because then Peyton Manning still be in the NFL. So, final note, he might be getting blackballed. I don't care. I think he shouldn't have a job in the NFL if he's going to not be able to keep his mouth shut.
The last thing I'm going to say is he went 1-10 as a starter for the 49ers. That does not strike me as someone who's good enough to start in the league. If you go 1-10...
And if you saw some of the throws he made, they were terrible.
Yeah, I mean, that's the last thing I'm going to say about it. Is a 1-10 record does not qualify as a starter for me.
All right. Make sure you guys follow us on Facebook at Sports Your Shorts. And anything you have to talk about?
No, that's about it. This is Andrew signing off.
I'm Jimmy.